Man, I'm actually really jazzed. We're redoing. This is our first podcast episode, but our second time doing the Dustin Smith story. First time we just weren't satisfied with it, so
no, my voice legitimately just stopped.
It didn't work.
It didn't work anymore.
I forgot that actually happened. Well, hey, you know what? Let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in.
Yeah.
Who in the world is Dustin Bonesy Smith?
You know what? I've been asking myself that question for a long time now.
I feel you, man.
No, but I guess like generally, Dustin Smith is a hockey player, an airline worker, traveler, record collecting, coffee making, movie watching dude.
Just a man.
I'm just a dude, honestly. Just a dude.
You got a pretty rad story, and I'm super jazzed to dive into it. I love, first of all, that we're both wearing corduroy today, and I love your jacket. I know I've told you that before, but I kind of just wanted it to be documented.
Just got the jacket. I'm glad we're not wearing the exact same thing like we usually end up doing somehow.
I was so worried about that. You have a crazy story.
Yeah.
Play hockey professionally here in Nashville, but you grew up in Southern California.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah, the story starts in San Diego, where I was born.
Yep.
Parents were divorced, so during the week I would live the typical just like go to school, hang out with the friends in the neighborhood kind of lifestyle, and then on the weekends I would go hang out with my dad, and that was like adventure time. It was like going to the beach, you know, hanging out, going to like Padres games, going to San Diego Gulls games and watching hockey. And we're always doing projects and everything. So the weekends were like jam packed with this just like super fun stuff. And I guess that kind of carried on into the rest of my lifestyle that I live now.
Did you guys you guys didn't have a hockey team in San Diego? I know this is down the line, down the story a little bit, but was there any like pre-inspiration to playing hockey?
Dude, I wanted to play hockey so bad when I lived in San Diego.
Really?
Yes. So like living in San Diego, I was in Mira Mesa, and we weren't really close enough to an ice rink to go play hockey. And roller hockey was starting to get really big too, and didn't have the opportunity to play. San Diego did have the San Diego Gulls, which is a minor league team. Okay. And then they folded, I think, but they have recently come back as an AHL team, which is kind of cool to see them come back. But yeah, we go to San Diego Gulls games. Mighty Ducks came out when I was a kid, and that hit me square in the childhood. Like,
really?
Oh my God, that movie got me so pumped about hockey. I wanted to play so bad.
Okay.
And, you know, we had the old street hockey set in the backyard. Dude, I got in trouble one day. Oh man, I totally forgot about this story.
Oh,
I got in trouble one day. Like our fence had like rocks around the perimeter.
Okay.
Dude, I don't know what got into me. I think I was upset. Dude, I just went out. I was firing rocks across the backyard.
With your hockey
With my
stick?
hockey stick, just ripping them, hitting the fence, made this big loud thud. My stepdad comes out, he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You got to clean this up." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
Mans was in trouble.
I got in trouble, dude, for just ripping rocks across the backyard.
Was it something that happened at school or what?
Yeah, dude, I was just so stressed out as a 8-year-old in San Diego. Like kickball didn't go so well. Like I was doing really bad in math and just had to relieve some stress.
Living a very rough life in San Diego, man. Not enough time at the beach that weekend.
Honestly, like kind of dream childhood though.
That is
so
amazing.
Sick.
So you moved to Nashville at 10, 11?
Yeah, I was like 10, 11 years old, which was like kind of tough, honestly. Like that was right when I was starting to like make a bunch of friends and kind of like coming into my own. I was playing basketball at the time. I loved playing basketball. I was getting pretty good at it.
Okay.
And then moving to Nashville was this big shakeup. Like it was the first time that I had to like be in this new place. At first I was like, Nashville's a bunch of farmland, right? Like
what do you do out there?
What is out there? What do you even do?
Of course.
But you know, kind of the great thing about moving here is when I started playing hockey, because we had a roller rink down the road from our house in Mount Juliet.
Okay.
And that's where I started playing hockey was just roller hockey. And I was so excited about playing. And like, it's so funny because once I started playing hockey, basketball was like, it's like basketball who?
Really?
Yeah, I stopped playing basketball altogether because I fell in love with hockey so much. It was so good.
My phone just started playing music out of nowhere.
Dude, your watch is like playing music.
What the heck? I'm so sorry. This is rough. Okay, so let's just run it back real quick. Were you a tall kid? Like a
Actually,
basketball tall kid.
When I was in elementary school, I was a tall kid.
Okay.
It was like, oh, here's this tall kid playing basketball. Sick. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. And then going through junior high, even through high school, I was like the short kid.
Really?
Just kind of a late bloomer. Yeah, no. And then it wasn't until like my junior year of high school, this kid was like, wow, you're actually really tall. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I'm looking around, I'm like towering over everybody else. I'm like, yo, I'm tall. Like, when did this happen?
I'm just picturing you being the height you are now in what is that, grade 8? When you moved to Nashville? Like lanky, just shooting hoops, scoring on everyone, breaking ankles. But no, that's awesome. So okay, you moved here. What grade is that?
So I moved here for 6th grade.
Okay, for 6th grade.
And in San Diego, we were, walking around the junior high before going into 6th grade, which was also connected to the high school, I believe. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of crazy. I was like super nervous about it. But then moving here, they had just opened up a new elementary school. So I did 6th grade in elementary school before going to junior high.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, which was very interesting. But like I said, that's when I started playing hockey, and I was like obsessed with it, dude. Like that's all I cared about. That's all I wanted to do.
That's so wild. Okay, so that's the beginning of your hockey story, is moving from San Diego to Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah. Dang.
Okay, so did school have a roller hockey program?
So there was no roller hockey program. There's a high school hockey league, and dude, when I first started playing, I was just playing roller hockey. My coach, he has 2 sons, one my age, one my little brother's age.
Okay.
And dude, we would go over there all the time, play in the backyard. And that's when I started playing goalie.
Okay.
And I was like, man, goalie's so fun. Like just playing in the backyard, and, had a baseball glove in one hand and, held a player's stick and just like tennis balls shooting around, whatever.
That's amazing. So you played legit a baseball glove?
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. So like I throw left-handed. So in baseball, I would catch with my right hand, but we didn't have a right hand catch glove. So I had to learn how to catch with my left hand.
And you're left-handed?
And I'm left-handed.
Okay.
So like, which is normal for being a goalie, but I don't know. It was just kind of like adjustment that I had to make that I was totally fine with. But my coach was like, man, I don't know. I think you're a goalie.
Really?
And I'm like, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of fun. So he let me play a game as a goalie. I enjoyed it so much. And then not even a year later, I was like, I want to be a goalie so bad.
So was this is around that same time? And in school, when you're playing, or for these programs that you're playing, is it like you always play a position? Because I remember growing up, you shift around. Sometimes you're in the goal, like with soccer and stuff. Sometimes you're in the goal. Sometimes they throw you at midfield. Sometimes they throw you, as a shooter. But I mean, goalie in and of itself is a whole separate skill set. It's a whole separate array of gear.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like I guess you kind of can't do that to some degree, because you can't just change in the middle of a game.
Right. I mean, like with youth hockey, it's tough because obviously goalie is goalie. Like you said, it's totally separate from everything else. It's different skill set, different set of gear and everything like that. So usually it's like you just have your goalie.
Yep.
But like in soccer, you have people rotate. When I played soccer, coaches were like, who wants to wear the gloves? I always wanted to play goalie.
No, you didn't.
Yes, dude.
Damn.
But it got to the point where they're like, does anybody else want to play goalie?
Jumping in the
like, yo, me, pick me. But yeah, like in hockey, you don't really have that. So, I mean, even getting an opportunity to try goalie is kind of tough for a lot of kids because, they don't have access to gear or whatever the case may be. And I remember when I first started playing goalie, it was like, cool, like now we have to find some gear. My dad actually, so I just took that trip to New Hampshire to hang out with my dad and go snowboarding. He has my first ever hockey card from the first year I played goalie.
Really?
Yes. And I was looking at the gear. I'm like, I don't even remember that stuff because a lot of it was gear that the rink had that they provided.
Oh, wild. So this is rental gear.
Basically, it was just like they just had
extra
gear at the
stuff?
rink that people donated or whatever. And right. It was
is
crazy
so
to even
cool.
look at. I'm like, wow, I looked like a dork.
You said a hockey card? Did you have your own player card?
Yeah, it was just like the things they did for all the kids, like, picture day or whatever. And
Yeah,
you had
yeah.
the option to do like, here's a hockey card.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like-
with your stats?
I don't remember if there were stats or not. I kind of hope not.
Dude, I would love that. So another piece of the puzzle, you have a New Hampshire or Northeast Connect, New Hampshire, Maine, that whole thing, but you never lived up there.
No, so my dad and his whole side of the family are all across New England. My grandma lives mid-state Massachusetts. That's where, my dad and his brothers and sisters grew up and everything. And, you know, we'd go up there all the time. Every summer we go up there. We have a family beach house in Maine we go up to. And, you know, during the winters, it's fun to go out there and get like that taste of winter wonderland, basically.
Yeah.
And then it's like, cool, that was fun. Let's get out of here. It's cold, but
Just bone biting cold too.
But yeah, actually a cousin of mine played hockey.
Okay.
And when I was getting really into it, he actually gave me some sticks and everything. And I was like, oh, this is so sick. These sticks are so nice or whatever. And so, you know, he kind of helped me in a way get into hockey too.
That's so rad. Is there in the Northeast up there, Maine, New England, or Maine, New Hampshire, the whole New England area, is there an AHL team?
Oh man, there's so many teams.
Is there?
It's insane. It's like kind of a hockey melting pot, I guess. A lot of colleges, really big college teams, a lot of minor league teams, and obviously there's a cluster of NHL teams up there too.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense with like the Bruins and Boston obviously being a historic hockey town. You have Toronto's not far. Obviously New York's right there.
Yeah, both New York teams. And
that makes sense. Did you ever play up there on any teams?
No.
Like in the summers or something?
Dude, there was one summer I went to go visit my grandma, hanging out, whatever. My dad's like, okay, I'm sending you to basketball camp. And I'm like, no, I do not want to, because I was playing hockey and I was obsessed with hockey. I was like drawing hockey, like goalie guys and everything.
Really?
And oh my God, I was like learning to juggle that summer just cause like, I don't know, that's what goalies do.
Of course.
And my dad's like, you're playing basketball. And I'm like, bro, no.
You're on the court juggling basketball.
I'm not even gonna lie. The first day of that camp, I was like, I basically stood in a corner and threw a fit.
Really?
I was like devastated. It ended up being a lot of fun because like I still like could play and everything like that. And it was kind of fun to be like, oh yeah, I can still play basketball. And it was just kind of a fun thing to do over the summer while I was visiting my grandma. But like that was the last time I really did any kind of basketball related anything.
I feel like at that age too, if you're even remotely athletic, you know, you get to enjoy anything, you know, like if maybe you're throwing a fit the first couple weeks or first couple days, I mean, but you know, you get into it and you're like, all right, I'm whooping some kids, start to have fun and whatnot. Maybe dad was right. Summer camp was the best no matter what, because it was like a free for all, and that's right. So that was up in New England.
That was up in Massachusetts. Actually, it was the camp was held at the same high school that my dad, my uncles, and my aunts all went to.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of a cool, like, you know, being a part of all that. But yeah, I didn't really play any hockey up there. I took a trip up there like a year and a half ago just to do some fun hockey stuff. And that's really the only time I've played hockey in the New England area.
Okay. No hockey in New England. I get it, man. There's more ice up there than there is here.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple more sheets popping up all the time. So
blows my mind.
But obviously nothing like the Northeast.
Yeah. So, okay, moving back to Nashville, you're cruising through middle school, high school, you're cruising through your hockey career. When does it become a thing where you go from having ideas and dreams of hockey, daydreams in school, to, okay, I'm moving in the right direction. I'm becoming like a player's player, you know, kind of thing. And, you know, playing in tournaments, winning and so on. How does that stuff start to...
I mean, honestly, it wasn't really much of like a glamorous path by any means. Because like I said, I played roller hockey here, got into playing ice. Actually, my first coach started coaching ice hockey, and he just had me show up as a practice goalie, basically. This is through like Pee Wee Bantam. And and then I ended up playing on that team that year because the other goalie, like his parents were like, yo, this guy's like using the ice and he's not even on the team. So like, they're like, well, okay, he's on the team now. But then that transitioned into playing high school hockey. Okay. Which, you know, playing high school hockey in Nashville and, you know, early 2000s isn't really anything to really brag or talk about. It's kind of just its own thing, which, you know, was cool. But
it was a high school team?
Yeah, it was a high school team.
Wasn't outside of like a external organization or something?
No.
Okay.
No, so like, and then from there it was like, okay, cool. Like, I want to do this. Like, obviously a huge passion of mine, but because like not having any family in the sports world or anything like that, they didn't know anything about it. So like we didn't really know how any of it worked. So I ended up going to play college club hockey at MTSU, where I went to school, and it was like, okay, cool, I'm going to go play college hockey. And I thought there was like, I didn't really understand the path, I guess. So yeah, I played college club, and then after college club, it was like, okay, well now what? Like guys were getting drafted to the NHL. I was kind of the same age, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, am I missing the train here? What's like,
Yep.
So it's kind of a tough pill to swallow to be like, oh, well, I'm not going to play pro. But like I kept playing, kept doing my thing. And then during the 2012 lockout, that was when I got like that was the biggest hockey moment for me.
Yes. Okay. Let's move into that. So there's this transition moment, and I kind of, know your story. We spend a lot of time together. So there's this transitional moment where you go from swallowing that pill, like you said, to hold on, there's this new opportunity, things are happening. And of course this lockout's happening within the league. Explain that, I guess, to everyone, everyone listening.
Dude, yeah. So 2012, I honestly didn't even know there was a lockout happening. Like I just kind of assumed it was, everything is normal. There's a skills trainer that I do a lot of work with, and usually over the summers he has like 1 or 2 pro guys come in, and then being a goalie, I just fill a net and I just hang out, do drills and stuff.
Yep.
Which I love. Like, that was my favorite thing to look forward to over the summers. But I hit him up. I was like, hey, I'm available in the mornings. Like I can come skate, whatever. And he said, actually, we got some guys coming out on Monday, plan on coming out, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Expecting maybe 1 or 2 guys. Dude, I walked into the locker room. There was literally nowhere to sit. Like it was packed. The entire Preds team was there. There was some guys from like other teams that just so happened to be in town. I was like, what is happening right now? Like, did I go into the wrong room? Is this the wrong time? Like what's going on? And, I go to sit down, and like I walked over to Mike Fisher, and I was like, I don't know. It's a packed room. He's like, yeah, I guess just find somewhere to sit. Nobody even questioned it. I'm just this random kid walking into like an NHL locker room, and
Really?
they're like, yeah, find somewhere to sit, whatever. And like, I'm just about to sit down, and Pecorine and Chris Mason both were sitting in the corner like, goalie, come over here. And I'm like looking over at them. I'm like, Pecorine and Chris Mason asked me to
Are
come
they talking to me?
Yeah. I'm like, what is happening? This is crazy. So I went over, sat with them. They introduced themselves so nice. And, they're like, hi, I'm Pecorine. Hi, I'm Chris Mason. I'm like, hi, I'm Dustin Smith.
I love that though. Such a like life-altering moment though.
Oh man, just that moment alone was like, whoa. But then, the lockout lasted for a good 3 months. So I spent the next 3 months practicing with this entire team. A lot of guys shipped out and went to like play in Europe just to continue playing during the lockout.
Okay.
But yeah, I got to be in the room with these guys for this whole experience, and kind of get their perspective, get a taste of like the pro hockey lifestyle. And
Totally.
of course that whole summer was like incredible for me. I was so happy to be there. We're on the ice 4 times a week. And then plus I was still doing my rec league stuff, but then I was also going to work. Like,
Yep.
So it was just a jam-packed everything, but
Doing everything you need to do to make it through.
yeah,
No
right. But dude, that was such a pivotal point in my like hockey life. And it was like unreal. Like so many stories of just like hanging out with the guys after practices, or even just like stuff that goes on during practice. And it was like,
Yep.
like Shea Weber, like we were just like skating around. We haven't even started practice yet. He took a shot and literally broke the puck in half.
What?
And he shot the puck, it hit the crossbar, and like it split in 2. And everyone's like, what did we just witness?
Ding.
Like you never see, that doesn't happen. That literally doesn't happen.
I asked you that the other day when we were
Yeah.
skating. I was like,
Yes,
have you ever
dude.
seen this happen? That's insane.
Dude, it was crazy. Just like random stuff like that. And of course it's like, I had opportunity, like a couple news outlets came out, and like I did end up doing an interview after a practice, and like, I'm in the newspaper and stuff like that. And like, it's kind of funny because, talking to my dad about it, he jokes around every time like something cool happens. He's like, this whole hockey thing might just work out for you. And it's
Yes.
like, well, of course, it's just like a really fun hobby thing that, I end up in these crazy situations.
Of course.
But he's like, yeah, the legend of Bones continues. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. We're
No, it's
keeping
rad,
it
man. I
rolling.
mean, you've put in the work, you've put in the effort, and you've made the connections
Yeah.
that you need to make to live that life. And you've also created an entire kind of ecosystem around Bonesy,
Right.
around your persona and stuff. And I guess that's kind of another huge thing I wanted to touch on is the idea of Bonesy and Bonesy TV and how you transitioned. I know there's more pieces to the story, but when in the story did it transition to this content creator space of I don't just play hockey anymore. I make
Yeah.
YouTube videos, and obviously there's an Instagram and stuff, and that's the biggest thing in the world right now is making
Yeah, right.
content. So, where did that come from?
Dude, honestly, it was like I started getting a lot of like hockey content stuff. Just like, I have really great, like talented photography friends and, you know, guys that do great video stuff.
Of course.
And then, you know, stuff in the news and like stuff just like kind of here and there that, and I didn't want to just like flood my Instagram with like, oh, here's hockey stuff and like my personal life stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
So like, you know what, like I'm just going to start a hockey Instagram just for fun, just somewhere to put all my stuff and not even like say anything or whatever. But that's when I really realized how big and connected the hockey social media space was.
Dude, it's nuts.
It's crazy. And like, you know, like I said, everyone's very connected. Such a great like space to be in. Mm-hmm. And goalie specific too. Like goalies are just like, I mean, I was crazy about goalie stuff. So anything I could consume was like, oh, I loved it. Mm-hmm. So of course, like a lot of people were in the same space too. So just being a goalie creator, it was like, oh, there's actually something here.
Yep. It blows my mind, man. I've had a small taste of it. Obviously, I'm not a hockey player myself, but the small taste I've had hanging out with you and hanging out with Kaz and stuff, it just blows my mind how well connected that community is. Because
dude.
There's so many spaces that I am familiar with, like in the action sports world and whatnot, and they're great, beautiful communities. But it is so insane how hockey is such a worldwide thing. And it's so well connected. Yeah. Everyone communicates. Everyone kind of knows each other. It just blows my mind.
Yeah,
it's millions and millions of people partake in it.
Yeah, right. So. Yeah, and then, you know, from there, it kind of turned into this huge idea of like, oh man, like I had so many video ideas and stuff that I wanted to do, and a lot of it tying into travel. And, you know, along the whole story, I guess, you know, I end up working for a major airline. So, you know, I have these flight benefits and it's like, oh, cool. I can go fly somewhere and play hockey in these different places and meet new people. And, you know, with the whole social media thing, you know, I've been able to go on trips to like Toronto and play with Pavel Barber, who's this big, like social media guy. He does all these crazy trick shots and stuff. And
that's so rad.
And it's kind of crazy. 'Cause like, you see these things and like NHL is promoting his stuff because he does crazy stuff. And then you see that and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm in Toronto and I'm doing this stuff with him. And then, you know, we also went out to Banff, Alberta, which is like so gorgeous, dude.
Oh man, these photos.
Dude, that trip alone was like, it was magical.
Playing on a lake in the Canadian Rockies. That's Lake
Louise.
Lake Louise. In Banff.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Dude. Just the one picture alone, like just full outstretched glove save between these two mountains on this like beautiful lake.
Yep.
Just that whole scene, even just being in it. I remember it was so cold too. But like just being in that space and trying to soak that whole moment in, I was like, this is insane. Like there's not a lot of people that get to say they've done this, let alone like out here doing it for like a social media thing with these cool people and like, you know, just the whole situation in general was just like such a fun experience.
We'll have to throw that photo if people are watching it. We'll have to throw that photo on somewhere on this screen. So the next piece to the hockey puzzle, you went to Florida and you entered a contest.
Yeah.
To become an EBUG.
Yeah. Like, so the whole situation started with an emergency situation that the Panthers had where their starter got hurt and their backup ended up getting hurt. So like the team was kind of exposed. They didn't really have anyone to play goalie at the point.
Okay.
So I think the equipment manager or the goalie coach got dressed. And then I don't know if he couldn't get play or whatever the situation was there, but they basically made the starter who got hurt first go back out there and finish off the game, which is obviously kind of risky. So like I said, the NHL was kind of exposed at that point. They didn't have a protocol for a situation like that. And the Panthers, kind of making light of the whole situation, ended up creating this contest, this competition called the Goal of a Lifetime. And, you know, like I said, I wasn't even going to sign up for it because I had already had my hockey experiences with the Preds. I already had like my big hockey moment. And, you know, it's just kind of like, all right, like this is a Florida thing. Someone in Florida is going to have an awesome experience like I did with the Preds during the lockout. And, you know, my friends at work told me they were going to sign me up. They're like, dude, you're going to go down there. Like, we're signing you up. You're going to make it for sure. And I'm like, no, don't. Like, you guys are going to butcher my application. Like, do not sign me up.
Imagine. I'm just thinking of my friends, like, signing me up for something that I might want to do, but
Yeah,
I don't want them
right.
touching anything with my
Dude.
name on it.
Jason pee pee poo poo caca.
So they ended up signing you up?
So no, after they said that, I was like, no, I'll sign myself up. So of course I filled out my own application and everything like that.
Of course.
And yeah, it was kind of off to the races. You know, the game plan was to go down for this competition and rent a car. And I was just going to sleep in the car overnight because it was just a 1 day thing. I figured, you know, whatever, I'm just going to go and like just have fun. It was just a fun opportunity to just go to Florida, play hockey and whatever. And my dad ended up surprising me at the airport basically. And he was like, hey, I'm going with you. So, you know, ended up having a place to stay with him that night and everything. But, dude, the competition was huge. There were so many goalies there, like 2 different sessions. I was in the second group and, dude, like just watching the first group, they were exhausted.
Really?
Like these drills, they just like basically beat them up. Like they did these skating drills to start, which is very typical for like a goalie camp. Like usually goalie camps are kind of set up as like big group setting skating drills, kind of like a warm up thing and everything. And then it breaks off into stations and you run different drills. But just for the skating stuff, guys were like calling it quits. There were guys like just on their hands and knees, literally trying to catch their breath.
Jeez. In
Like,
Florida?
Yes.
No
dude.
elevation in Florida either.
Dude, elevation is real, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so they're thinning the herd quick.
Oh yeah.
And you're just crushing it, making it through the ranks.
Dude, honestly, so by the time I got out there for that second group, the skating stuff was tough. Like it was not a breeze. I remember there was one point going through a skating progression we were doing, and you know, my foot slipped out from under me, and I'm like, man, like I'm already gassed. My legs are tight, but I'm looking around and everyone else is just toast. I'm like, okay, well, like I'm not the only one.
This is full blown like SEAL training.
Oh, dude, it was like some serious skating stuff
Insane.
I had done plenty of work going into that. Like I kind of prepared myself a bit, but yeah, it was a ton. But you know, they did it on purpose. They wanted to like thin their herd basically,
Of course.
and you know, get everyone into a place where they can kind of see their what level they were at, and then breaking off into stations. And honestly, like I said, I just took this trip just to go have fun, like to go bring my pads to Florida and like jump on the ice and just whatever. And, you know, just kind of skating around as one of the, I guess, judges. Like they had coaches on the benches watching everybody and taking notes and everything. And Thomas Vokoun was just kind of cruising around watching everybody. And he's a big goalie who used to play in Nashville, ended up playing in Florida, retired.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, this is cool. I'm getting to talk to Thomas Vokoun. And I was like, hey man, like, are you going to put the pads on? Show us how it's done. And he's like, no way, not a chance, not done. I'm like, dude, come on. But yeah, dude, like when goalies stop playing, when they retire, they would want nothing to do with playing goalie.
That blows my mind, but they just hang the pads up.
They just hang them up. They might go skate out and just kind of play as like a forward or whatever. Which is a lot of fun. Even when I go skate out, the couple times that we've gone out and skated,
man. I love
it's
it.
so fun. I'm like, whoa, I can do like crossovers and skate around and
You look
shoot
good out there,
Dude,
especially in the vintage gear.
oh man, dude,
By
the vintage
golly.
stuff is just like that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so like for this competition, like I was just kind of out there cruising, having a good time, making some saves. Just, you know, the final drill that we did was a shootout. So like I'm coming out there spinning around, flopping. I'm just like acting a fool, whatever. Just, like whatever. I'm going home after this anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like at the end of it, you know, we all pile up in the back, and it was kind of set up like a big press conference. And I don't know why I thought it was just kind of like a quiet whatever thing, but apparently it was a big deal. Like all over, like it was all over like ESPN and news outlets were everywhere and
That
everything.
blows my mind.
Yeah, right. Like I didn't expect it to be a big deal. So they announced the first finalist, Bill, and I was like ready to walk out the door because like I was like, all right, my dad's waiting for me. We'll just finish off the day, hang out here for the night, fly out the next day, whatever. And I got my bag over my shoulder. I'm like ready to go, and they announced my name. They say Dustin Smith, and I'm like turning to walk out the door, and I'm like, did they say Dustin Smith? I'm like, wait. I'm Dustin Smith.
Hold
and they're
the
like,
phone.
so Dustin Smith, and everyone's like clapping and everything like that. And like, you know, a couple of guys that I'd met, they're like, yo. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? So like, dude, everything happened so fast from there because going up there, like I said, it was set up kind of like a press conference. there's news outlets, there's people shoving microphones in my face, there's cameras everywhere. I'm getting interviewed by Linda Cohn. Me and this guy are just standing there like, what is happening right now? Oh, I made some stupid joke to Linda Cohn. What was it? I think I said something about goalies being weird, and she's like, yeah, cat's out of the bag or something like that. And I was like, wow, that was a really dumb joke to say. Like when there's so many
Was
cameras.
this on like ESPN?
I don't even know if it got aired anywhere, but you know, just because everything was happening so crazy, and I had no idea the magnitude.
And if you were on the way out, you were probably like, you blew it off. You were like, whatever, I'm done. Weekend's over.
Yeah, right.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, dude. And then we're getting put into this like media room. It's like green screened everywhere. And we're striking these poses and these jerseys that they gave to us. It was like, whoa, what is happening right now? And, you know, we end up getting shown around everywhere. And dude, mind you, my dad is sitting upstairs. No clue what's going on.
That blows my mind. He's just in the dark waiting to hear something from his son. It's been 6 hours. What's going on down there?
It's been like 6 to 9 hours. I don't know what's going on.
So this is day 2, day 3?
Dude, that was just the first day.
Day one?
Yeah, day one. I'm getting shoved around everywhere, like just kind of like going with the flow of like what is happening right now. Dude, I had just taken a shower. My hair's still wet. Like I'm like, do I need to go take my gear anywhere? Like just kind of confused, but like the excitement was just like popping everywhere. And then finally got to reconnect with my dad, and he was like kind of going over it with me. He's like, this is crazy. And again, he's like, well, I guess the Legend of Bones continues, which is kind of like a theme here. Like, you know, every time something like this happens, it's like, oh, the Legend of Bones continues.
Dad was hyped, though.
Dude, he was so hyped. But it was like, okay, like we're staying another day. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, we got to extend the rental car. We got to find somewhere to stay the next day, because the next day, the second part of this competition was doing a shootout during the intermission of the Panthers game. They were playing Montreal Canadiens. And first intermission, they have us out there, and we're like basically hyping up the competition. Like they're kind of like, they're putting microphones in us. We're like hyping up the crowd for this thing.
You're throwing your arms up with your pads
dude,
on.
honestly, yeah.
That is so sick.
They're like, oh, so how do you feel about this? I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited. It should be a really fun thing. Excited to be here at the BB&T Center, you know, whatever. And but it's funny because when we go in the green screen room and like striking our poses and stuff, and they're like, Dustin Smith works for major airline.
I remember you saying.
I'm like, dude, this is so funny.
Is there like just legalities or copyright things?
Yeah, I think it was like
cleared?
copyright issues. They couldn't say the actual like company name or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was just like, you know, I never once thought that I would be standing in the middle of an arena hyping up a crowd for a shootout competition. Stepping out there for the competition, it was like, okay, cool. Like just go out there, do a shootout thing, whatever. And a couple alumni guys were the guys shooting, and they kind of dressed it up, I guess. You know, they had like the Western theme song, like
okay,
when they were coming down to shoot and everything. But
they created a whole thing around.
They created a whole thing around.
It was you versus what was the other guy?
His name's Bill Ruggiero.
Bill Ruggiero.
Yeah,
that's a sweet name.
His sister actually played for Team USA. Actually,
really?
I think she's in the Hall of Fame.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, which is another crazy like kind of connection thing. Like I ended up hanging out with. She came down too. Like we were all hanging around. We got a huge tour of the arena, the facilities, and everything. Such a cool experience just walking around there and meeting people. But so yeah, me and Bill during this competition, we end up tying the competition. We're like, what do you mean it's a tie? But we just ran out of time. Like they obviously had things to do, and they were in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
And but I didn't realize it was going to be on TV. Like this whole thing was on. I don't know what it was being shown on. But I was talking to, you know, my brother, my dad, and, you know, my mom and everything. Apparently my mom, they were like Buffalo Wild Wings watching this thing. And apparently my mom, every time I was on the TV, she was losing her mind.
At B-Dubs?
Yeah, B-Dubs. Screaming
squealing
at the TV. And my family's like, Mom, chill. But whenever she watched me play, like through high school and everything, she would get so nervous. Like just mom instinct. And she just sits there and gets like freaks out.
Really?
She
anytime a puck goes at your face.
Oh
or
my
something.
God, dude.
Not the teeth.
She's like, Dustin, look out. Okay, just freaking out the whole time. So like I can just imagine her sitting there in the middle of Buffalo Wild Wings, losing it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so we end up tying, which is like, well, okay, now we got another day still. Mm-hmm. Because after that, now we go get dressed and practice with the Florida Panthers, which was crazy because like having my experiences with the Preds, it was like cool. Like I got to practice with an NHL team. And then it's like, here I am again in Florida practicing with another NHL team. I'm like, this is crazy. And, you know, it was right at the end of their team practice. Some guys stayed on and, you know, we had our own practice of our own, but Roberto Luongo was out there when I first jumped on, and dude, legendary goalie. Like absolutely loved watching him growing up. And, you know, the fact that I had the opportunity just to sit there and talk with him and meet him, well, just like that part alone was like such a great experience for me.
That is so cool. Meeting another one of your heroes just because of your passion.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Right.
So did he play for Florida at the time?
Yeah, he was playing for the Panthers.
Okay.
And, yeah, dude, so we had our practice and it's kind of like just this whole emergency goalie thing. And it's just like cool. And then once it's all said and done, the dust settles. It's like, well, back to Nashville, back to work. But the following year is when they came up with the emergency goalie rule. And that's, you know, because I had already had a relationship with the Preds, I had already practiced with them and gotten to know them and everything. They asked me if I wanted to be their emergency goalie. And I was like, well, yeah, of course. So, you know, the whole Florida thing was really kind of the beginning of this whole new chapter of serving as an emergency goalie, which is, you know, something that I've been doing ever since here in Nashville.
And you said that was 2015 that you began being an emergency goalie?
Yeah, I think the rule started in 2014, 2015, something like that.
Interesting. That's so cool. So pro goalie, middle of the week, Monday through Thursday, full-time employee of major airline, Friday through Sunday. And you have a crazy schedule. I mean, you do doubles Friday, Saturday, and I don't know if you double Sunday or not ever, but I mean, that's pretty insane. You literally work 16-hour days.
Yeah.
So you can have 4 days off during the week,
Yeah.
which obviously allows a lot of freedom. But how long, you've been doing the airline thing for how long?
Dude, it's been almost 12 years now, which is crazy because, like, you know, that's a long time.
That is a long time.
But I mean, like, you know, it's like you said, it's really given me the freedom to live this kind of lifestyle outside of work. You know, the hockey lifestyle that I live, but then I also have a lot of things outside of hockey that I love to do. And, you know, traveling is definitely one of them. So being able to, you know, hop on a plane and like fly somewhere, go to Florida and play this competition, or, you know, fly out to New England somewhere and go play hockey out there, or go out to California, or, you know, do all these crazy fun
Pop
things.
out to Colorado and do some snowboarding.
Maybe do a little snowboarding, which is a new obsession of mine because, you know, you went ahead and just like got me in on that whole thing now.
That's all right, man. So, okay, so you got into that not because of benefits, not because of free flights, but because it kind of became a part of your life long before it was.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, working for the airlines, like it runs in the family, I guess. So, you know, my stepdad growing up in San Diego, he's a grounds mechanic. And, so he ended up getting a job transfer to Nashville, which is why we moved here in the first place. And then, you know, my oldest sister, she works customer service. She now does reservations. So she like works from home, same airline.
Okay.
And then my other older sister, she started doing customer service and then became a flight attendant. So like we all kind of have this tie to like this airline that we work for. So
Major airline. Can't say the name. Top secret.
Super top secret. Nobody will ever figure it out.
That's rad. And 12 years with any company at any time is a long time, but you're also so young to be able to say you have 12 years under your belt for or with a company. But again, I mean, it allows so much freedom, and like you said, a huge piece of your life. I guess both of us together. I mean, we spent a lot of time traveling together, but it is cool to see, you know, hey, I'm going to pop up to New Hampshire and go snowboard for a couple days and see the fam, get tax-free purchases on a new laptop.
Not a big deal.
That was huge.
Dude, yeah, like that was kind of just crazy experience going to buy a laptop in New Hampshire where tax laws are obviously no sales tax or anything like that. Apparently it's a big deal to go buy things in New Hampshire because
we'll take it.
Yeah, right.
We'll take it. All right, just to drop back to the EBUG thing. Obviously you have insane stories, you have super insane experiences, but actually getting on ice with the team probably or those moments are probably the most memorable. And you had a chance last year to play for my team, the Colorado Avalanche, at Bridgestone here in Nashville. Walk us through that. How did that
Dude.
come about?
Oh man, that experience alone, obviously, like as an emergency goalie, that's like why you do it, for the opportunity to get dressed and potentially play.
1,000%.
You know, when the rule first started, I actually had an opportunity to get dressed with the Boston Bruins, which, like, growing up watching hockey as a kid, the Bruins were my first team because, you know, my dad and his whole family all across New England raised me as a Bruins fan.
Of course.
So like just the experience of getting dressed with them alone was insane. Like just being able to shake Zdeno Chara's hand, who's this like monster of a human.
That is so sick.
The fact that he's like, thank you so much. I'm like, yep. Not a big deal. But then, that was when the rule had first come out, and everything was still pretty fresh and new. But last year, getting dressed for Colorado Avalanche,
Stanley Cup champions,
dude. Yeah, I got the call from the goalie coach. Said, hey, you know, Colorado has an emergency situation. This is before the game even started, and he said they'll be in contact with you. And someone reached out to me through email and gave me a rundown. So I'm like racing to the rink. It's pouring rain. It's absolutely dumping rain at this point.
This was mid-season?
This was mid-season. This was December last year.
COVID was like ripping through the NHL around this time,
yeah.
right?
Oh, it was December year before last.
Okay.
And so COVID was kind of ripping through, and the starter had tested positive for COVID, so he obviously couldn't play. Backup was going to go play, and then I was going to go sit on the bench and serve as their backup. And like I said, it's dumping rain. I'm like racing to the rink. And I'm calling my dad. I'm like telling him the whole thing. And then I call the goalie coach and I'm like, hey, like, what can I expect here? This is obviously a new experience for me. Like, what's up? And he's like, honestly, I don't know. Like, you know, we haven't had this situation either. But he was like, I will tell you, the guy who's starting is just coming back from injury. He hasn't played a full game in 2 years. So be ready.
Be ready and be loose.
You're right. And I'm like, man, like, this drive to the rink, it was like kind of this roller coaster of emotion because I was super nervous. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Can't believe this is happening. You know, I've been doing the emergency thing for so long, but this is the first time I've ever had a situation like this.
Yeah.
But before I made it to the rink, it went from nervousness to like super excited.
You just flipped a switch.
I was like, man, this is so cool. This is so exciting. And I was like, yeah, like I hope I played. Like that would be great. That'd be so much fun. And, you know, I'm running in there. Everything's kind of moving super fast. It's absolute chaos. I'm walking through the tunnel and, you know, there's a guy stitching my name on the back of a jersey. And like, just the fact that I got to walk by and see that moment was like, oh, that's so cool. But, you know, I'm standing there and this guy's like, oh, hey, I'm Joe, by the way. And this is Joe Sakic, literally a hockey legend.
Absolute legend.
Absolute legend. Just casually saying, hey, what's up? I'm Joe. I'm like, yeah, what's up? I'm Dustin.
Who is also the GM for the Colorado Avs now, right?
Yeah, Joe Sakic.
Unbelievable.
I'm like, man, like I just met Joe Sakic. That was so cool.
Let me walk to the locker room with my new Avs jersey.
Let me walk into the locker room with this NHL team who were killing it at the time.
Yep.
And obviously went on to win the Stanley Cup. But like, you know, getting dressed real fast and, you know, the guys are psyching themselves up. They've got me in on everything too. They're like, come on, buddy, let's go. Like, let's jump out there, jump out for warmups. And dude, just the moment stepping out on the ice for warmups, like such a crazy moment for me. And dude, just like the pictures that I saw of me, dude, my smile could not have been any bigger.
Just
like, dude,
ear.
you could see it through my mask. Like you said, ear to ear. I was so excited just to be there and, you know, going to games and watching warmups on the other side of the glass and, you know, watching teams play and you know, watching all these goalies go through their warm-up routines. And now all of a sudden I'm on the other side of the glass where I'm the one warming up and I'm the one skating around and stuff like that.
In the bottom of the bowl, man.
Dude, just thrown into the cage, which, man, just like skating around, going through my warm-up routines and, you know, everything was so chaotic. And, you know, some of the guys on the Preds would skate by and, you know, say, what's up? Roman Josi skates by. He's like, you traitor. Just like you said, man, like, you know, obviously joking around or whatever, but
that's perfect though. It's like one of those moments that kind of helps comfort you a little bit, right?
It honestly,
like,
yeah, it was
the homie.
Yeah.
Just giving you some crap.
I mean, like, talk about comforting it. You know, you're in this situation. It's crazy, chaotic, you know, no clue what to expect.
Roller coaster of emotions.
But honestly,
driving
dude, once I got my gear on, as soon as I stepped on the ice, it was like boom, we're in. I was in a familiar place. I was comfortable, like in this weird way. But yeah, jumping in net and like taking shots from guys like Nathan McKinnon and Cale McCarr. It's like this is so crazy. I didn't even have a real chance to soak it all in or like really reflect on it. And, you know, all of a sudden I'm sitting on the bench. I'm just sitting there hanging out, watching the game. You know, I'm on the team. Like I'm hanging out with the equipment manager and I'm like helping him with stuff in the back. And, you know, I'm going back into the locker room between periods and I'm sitting there, you know, listening to the coach, like talk to the guys. I'm listening to the guys in the room, like hype each other up. And I'm like, dude, this is like, I'm on an NHL team right now.
Yep.
This is insane.
Part of the roster.
Yeah, right.
That is insane. Do you think you were on the, what do they call it?
The roster sheet?
Yeah, like in the arena that night?
Dude, so I have a copy of it.
Really?
Yeah, a buddy of mine, I forgot what he does for the Preds. If he does something with the stats, I think, but he was able to get his hands on the actual sheet. So I have the sheet with my name on it.
Dustin Smith.
Dustin Smith.
Is there a Swedish flag next to it? I'm just kidding. We always joke around about, or no, Finnish, I guess would be the proper one.
Dustin Smith. And then, yo, Siri, chill. Dustin Smith in parentheses, Kaz.
That would kill me. Wait, that's incredible though. Just to have that little piece of memorabilia.
Yeah, right.
Is so cool. Dang, and you took shots from Nathan McKinnon. Oh man. And then look back later in the season and see him holding up a Stanley Cup trophy, skating around. That's
dude,
surreal.
it's insane. Obviously, you know, getting dressed for them, I was keeping up with them in their season. They had a great year going through the playoffs. They were killing it and everything like that. And it was just like this crazy moment of like, man, like I got dressed with these guys. And now, like you said, I'm watching these guys lifting a cup.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo.
We watched a couple of the finals games together.
We did,
in Nashville. And we were just like, I think they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I think they're going all the way. And
right.
I'm sure during every single game, this came up where it's like, that's your team, man. You played for them.
I'm still waiting on the ring, by the way.
Yeah, we're both waiting for you to get that ring, dude. Try to hit the town the night you wear that ring, dude.
Dude, no, I'm not. If they ever did send me one, which obviously they're not going to, I wouldn't take it off ever. I would literally wear it all day, every day, everywhere I went.
You have a license to, and you have a license to. You could even wear it around your neck with a chain or something.
Dude, always. Dude, I'm still considering getting a replica one.
I think you should.
Just getting like a super cheap one and just still like flash it around everywhere.
Put some, yeah. I wonder if they have any weight to them, the replicas. Makes it feel real. So a couple days later, you're done playing for the Avs. You have to come back down to reality.
Dude, back down to reality. Yeah, well, which is crazy. I mean, even the same thing with the Florida experience and even the stuff with the Preds going through the lockout. It's like, you know, in the moment, it's like, man, I'm living this crazy pro lifestyle where obviously I'm not a pro hockey player, but like in that moment, I'm with this pro team and I'm basically living this lifestyle and everything like that. And then a couple of days later, it's back to reality, back to work, where it's like I'm sitting at work, I'm at the airport, and it's like, wait a minute, I just did this whole thing like a couple of days ago. This is crazy, like absolutely insane. And of course, you know, people at work see me on TV and stuff, and it's like, man, like there's that hockey dude. But like, yeah, I mean, it's just this kind of crazy lifestyle of like living these multiple lives, I guess, where it's like, you know, sometimes I end up doing stuff with some pro hockey teams and sometimes I'm, you know, going on trips doing crazy other stuff. And, you know, it's all kind of hinging on this very unique lifestyle that I've created through this job that I work at the airport.
Major airline.
Major airline. You're gonna have to do a ticker how many times I say.
Like I said, or like you said before, it's rad that you have that kind of flexibility within your job. Like I said, we've taken countless trips together now, traveled the world together now to some degree, dude. And there's only going to be more of that in the coming months. But I think something else that would be really rad to touch on is the other hobbies and interests you have, because you kind of got a lot going on all the time.
I got a lot going on.
And of course the YouTube thing, which I know you have a lot planned for the year. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about any of that?
I can tell you a little bit.
Yeah, dive into that. Dive into some of your YouTube stuff.
I mean, even just like touching on the hobby stuff, it kind of goes back to how I was living in San Diego, where, you know, on the weekends I would go out with my dad and we always had projects and stuff going. We're always doing fun stuff, you know, playing basketball here, going ice skating there, rollerblading, doing this, going to the beach. And, you know, it's kind of how I've always lived my life, and it continues now. But going into the YouTube stuff, you know, the whole YouTube thing just kind of started as a fun creative outlet with all these fun ideas and stuff that I had doing, you know, Instagram and all this other stuff. But got pretty heavy into it there for a while. Got burnt out. Took a break. The break was nice. And then it kind of turned into a bit of a hiatus. And then, you know, we went out to Europe together. We went to visit Kaz and watch him play in the SHL out there in Sweden.
Yep.
And, you know, you are obviously vlogging a lot of that too. So, I mean, even just like watching you vlog and being a part of your vlog stuff, it was kind of inspiration for me to get back into it. So, you know, going back into my own social media stuff now, it's kind of taken on a whole new form where I kind of want to almost rebrand everything. I want to start a vlog. I want to start traveling a lot more and get a lot more people involved, and you know, trying to create something that helps other people, whether it's you know, young goalies coming up and learning the position, or adult goalies who maybe they stopped playing a long time ago and they want to get back into it, or maybe they've always had a general interest, and you know, now they just get that extra motivation. Which actually, that reminds me, dude, last week I went to a Preds game and I'm standing in line to get a grilled cheese like I do every single game, because
my man loves the pesto grilled cheese, man.
The pesto mozzarella grilled cheese at Bridgestone Arena is the move, dude. I love it. Anyways, so I'm standing in line to get my grilled cheese. And dude, this guy out of nowhere, he's like, yo, Bonesy, what's up? And I'm like, yo.
Man.
No clue who this guy is. And I'm so bad about this. People will do this. They're like, Bonesy, yo. And I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? I don't know who they are, but I'm like, maybe I met them at some point. And I'm like, I don't want to be a jerk and be like, I don't know who you are or whatever.
Of course.
But he's like, man, like, I saw your YouTube stuff. Like, I love your YouTube stuff. I'm like, oh, thanks, dude. That's awesome. And he's like, I actually started playing goalie because of you. I'm like,
really?
What? He's like, yeah, like I've always wanted to play. I started watching your stuff and like I ended up getting some gear and like I just started playing, dude. I love it. I'm like, that's awesome. Like if there's any motivation to do any kind of like social media stuff, like the fact that this guy decided to play hockey because he watched my stuff, it's like, that's huge.
1,000%. I mean, man, I mentioned to you when I was down in Dallas visiting my mom, and some of my family and myself, we went to I don't know what they're called, but they're practice rinks and stuff. And yeah, we were there cruising, did an open skate, and a gentleman there, I mentioned that, oh, one of my best friends is a pro goalie, so on and so forth. He's like, oh, who is that? Because I saw him doing I don't even know what it's called. It's like the warm up thing where you
he's doing the skate, like shuffling and like pushing around.
Yeah, he was just pushing around. And I was like, oh, you must be a goalie. We got talking. I was like, a couple of my buddies are pro goalies. Anyways, I was like, you should check out his YouTube channel. There's some stuff on there that I'm sure you'd love learning and whatnot. And he's like, who's your friend? Oh, Bonesy. He's like, I love Bonesy's videos. So I've been checking out all of his videos and so on. So he was jazzed on it. He knew exactly what I was talking about. And I mean, yeah, if it inspires anyone to get out and hit the ice,
yeah,
why not?
Dude, yeah, it's huge. I mean, I don't know, like getting into social media stuff. It's like I never expected people to like recognize me. And honestly, I didn't expect anybody to even like watch any of my stuff, let alone like get into it.
Of course.
So, I mean, you know, it's really cool to kind of meet people like that, especially like, you know, the fact that it motivates them to play. And he lives in Kentucky, this guy that I was talking about. And he ended up reaching out to me. He's like, man, I would love to get on the ice with you. I'm like, dude, absolutely. He's like, cool. Like, I'll let you know next time I'm in town, I'll bring my gear. And I'm like, yeah, sick. And I've actually met a couple other people like that too. There was a buddy of mine, Reed, who ended up moving to Nashville. But he ended up reaching out to me on Instagram. He's like, man, I'm coming down to Nashville to visit some family. I would love to get on the ice with you. I'm like, dude, absolutely. So like, it's crazy. Like this guy that I met through social media, you know, all of a sudden we're jumping on the ice together, having a good time, just like playing goalie. And
that is so sick. And like we mentioned, I mean, a million times probably by now even in this episode, the hockey world, especially the goalie world, it's just so rad that the community is so tight knit. And it's kind of, not to be cheesy and say this like every other industry or whatever, but it's kind of this big family. You instantly click, you instantly connect. You could be in Finland, you could be in Sweden. We were in Sweden and you got talking about hockey to these kids we met out and about in the middle of Stockholm. And it turned into an hour-long conversation.
Yeah,
about
that's
how
right.
he plays hockey. And I think was he a goalie? Or his friend was a goalie?
I think his friend was a goalie. He wasn't a goalie. It is kind of crazy, honestly. Like it's almost like this universal language thing. Because I think there was even kind of a language barrier there too. But like when you talk about hockey stuff, like there's a lot of common things that can be talked about. And but yeah, I mean, dude, I actually forgot we even had that talk with that guy. That was
It just popped up in my head. I was like, hold on a
just
second.
hanging out in Stockholm, Sweden, and this guy's like talking about playing hockey. I'm like, I play hockey, and he's like, cool. And yeah, we ended up talking about hockey just right on the side of the street for a while.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And yeah, like I said, it's this huge sport. It's worldwide. I don't know how many countries play it, but millions and millions of people play it. But like you said, it's a universal language, and it just seems like a big family. It doesn't matter where you are on social media or not. It's so cool.
Dude, like just the goalies specifically, like nobody knows a goalie like a goalie. Like it takes a goalie to really understand what it's all about. And you know, when you start talking to a fellow goalie about stuff, like you just kind of click. Like it's instantly like, cool, we have so much to talk about right now, and we have so much, but it's also like a support system too. So, you know, even on social media, people talk about like, you know, a lot of people hit me up about like goalie gear stuff. And it's like some random person from wherever is like, yo, I got these new pads, check them out. And I'm like genuinely like, yo, those are sick.
Yeah, that's so
and it's
rad.
just like a style thing. And, you know, it's kind of, it's another one of those things that goalies just kind of relate with one each other. And
For sure.
just kind of a big support system of each other.
Everyone's got their own style and stuff too. And I'm sure like every other sport, everyone's got their own preferences on, you know, what kind of pads, how thick the pad, like I've had this conversation with you a million times, but it is so cool how hockey gear, like a lot of other sports that I can relate to, there's so many little customizable pieces and parts. And it's so cool to hear you talk to your friends about it. And like, why do you rock this glove, or why do you rock these pads, and so on. So it is a really cool point to relate to from that side of it too.
Dude, it goes deep. It gets nerdy. It gets nerdy.
I love that though. I remember Kaz saying this on Mike's podcast, on the Traction podcast. Shout out Mike Murphy. Are goalies weird?
Dude, goalies are for sure weird. Goalies are so weird.
But why? What does that even mean?
I mean, like, back in the day, like...
I guess you all do like just having stuff swung at you.
Yeah, of course, it's like... You look at the position alone, it's like it takes a certain individual who is definitely weird to want to stand in front of pucks like that. So like there's already the underlying like tone of like, yeah, that takes a weird person. But I mean, back in the day, there was like no padding. Like I've been going through this big vintage goalie phase, which is like a whole other like hobby within a hobby that I have. And dude, like the gloves are paper thin. So like, yeah, you genuinely did have to be crazy to like wear this stuff and like take these pucks that are being flung at you. But I think as the position has progressed through the years, goalies have their quirks and they have the routines and they have their superstitions. And typically they just end up being like weird people. Like I've met some seriously weird dudes. It's just like, you're the goalie.
I can't imagine like the going back to the Panthers contest, just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of goalies.
Oh my God.
There must have just been every walk of life ever.
Like talk about, you cannot cram any more weirdness into one room. And it's like, it's almost a chaotic scene because you got guys doing their own. There's guys juggling. There's guys like skipping around. There's guys stretching. There's guys doing yoga stuff. There's, guys like, with like a towel over their head, like kind of going through their mental preparations and everything like that. And like just the amount of quirkiness that goalies have, it labels them definitely as weird. Not to say that every single goalie is an absolute nut job, but every goalie kind of has their own little level of weirdness. Personally, I've had a lot of people say like, hey, you're actually very normal for a goalie. But then of course, like, something weird or whatever, I'm doing something kind of weird. And they're like, oh yeah, you're definitely a goalie.
Happens.
It happens.
Other hobbies. You are a big vinyl dude.
Huge.
You're a big coffee dude. You're a big music dude. We have a whole list of things that you love outside of hockey.
Yeah.
Whole list of... Oh, you like plants too.
Dude,
how do you feel about these fake plants?
Well, honestly, they have to be fake. There's no way they can thrive in this environment. But dude, getting into plants. this would kind of be something that would be like, oh, you're definitely goalie. Like you're into plants. But like plants have kind of become a bit of a hobby of mine over the last couple of years. Like, you know, I ended up finding this bird of paradise plant next to a dumpster. And I was like, actually, this thing's like kind of beat up, but it's not in terrible shape. So I ended up saving it from the dumpster, and like this thing is thriving now. And I'm like, oh, whoa. Like I kept this thing alive, whatever, cool. So I'm getting another one, and I'm getting another one. And, you know, going through this whole like plant phase. And, you know, now I lof plants, dude.
You're a plant guy.
I like plants.
You like records too?
Dude, I love vinyl records.
Has that always been part of your life, like growing up? You know, I assume your dad's kind of that same generation that my mom and my parents are. And I know that was a huge thing for me, was my mom showing me my grandma's record player and putting records, vinyl records on it and moving the needle, setting it on, listening to the scratch, listening to the imperfections in the record, of course. Is that kind of your history with it? Like it's always been this thing?
Not really.
Really?
Dude, honestly, like you painting the picture of even just going through the process that's it for me. Like I love a good process of things, and the process of listening to music on record is what I'm there for. It's not even about like, oh, it sounds so much better or whatever. Like
Totally.
It's just, for me, it's the physical process of like actually having something tangible. But I mean, growing up, my dad always has music going, and in San Diego, he had like crazy racks of like all this different like music stuff, like speakers and cassette tapes and all this other stuff. But no, I don't remember if he had a record player or not. And especially growing up, it was like records were kind of like, ew, that's old stuff. Nobody likes that. But
you wanted the new CD player at that point.
You wanted the CD stuff, dude.
You wanted the Sony, dude.
Yeah, dude. You wanted that Walkman. Yeah, records, like I ended up getting this box set, this band called the Deer Hunter. And this was not too long after high school. And they released this album that was the color spectrum. And each color had its own record. And it was a 4-song each EP per color.
Okay.
And each EP was like a different sound that kind of like represented the color. And the box set like was so sick. It was each individual color on each individual record. I'm like, wow, like there's purple, there's blue, there's orange, all these cool different records. And I was like, I just want this box set because one, it was an artist that I really liked. And two, it was just a cool box set with these cool records. And it was this whole new thing for me. And then talking to my dad about it, he like right away, my dad loves eBay. He jumps on eBay right away. He's like, cool, you got a turntable coming your way. You're gonna have to figure out how to set it up with the speakers and everything like that. And dude, my first record player setup was this cheap ass turntable that my dad got.
That's sick.
Hooked up into my guitar amp. And like
guitar amp?
My guitar amp.
Oh, okay. I totally know where you're going with this.
Dude,
I understand that sound and everything.
Yes, dude. It was like crunchy, like no lows in it whatsoever. And also I didn't realize that like audio coming out of a turntable needs an amp, or it needs a preamp. It needs all these different components to like make it sound good. And I'm just running it straight into, I'm like, I have this thing turned up all the way and you can barely hear it still. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't get it.
And it's just screaming through a guitar amp.
Yes, dude. That's what got me into the whole experience. It was like, okay, well, like these are the things that I need. This is a whole process of it all. And it really got me into, everything that tied in with listening to music on records. And then it just kind of exploded from there, collecting more and more records. And of course, like, nowadays you have artists that will release limited edition, this color or whatever. And I am a sucker for that, dude. Of course. Oh man. Actually, I got a new record today.
Did you?
Yeah.
We talked about going to the record shop just down the road from here.
Dude, what did I say?
We might have to hit that up.
You suggested it? What did I say?
You said, really? Like a 6-year-old. We got into the car and you went, really?
Dude, that was genuine. Like you might as well have said like if I was a kid in San Diego, you might as well have said, hey, do you want to go to Toys R Us? What? Yes.
Really? I'm dead, dude.
Oh my God. So yes, dude, it just really evolved into this whole thing. And, you know, from records, it kind of turned into coffee and, you know,
Same thing, process.
all about the process.
All about the process.
I mean, you definitely understand that, being a big coffee person yourself. And actually, like, you were a big influence in like me kind of turning into this whole like, oh, I want to make my own coffee for myself, but like in a very specific way.
Big time, big time. Yeah, it's a part of my morning routine that like, that's like the one thing I enjoy. I make my breakfast every morning. I make coffee every morning. I start working before I do either. And I have a very kind of specific schedule that I stick to, but that 5 minutes of weighing out my beans, throwing them in the grinder, grinding it, giving it a little sniff because fresh ground coffee.
Man.
I love that. Like it's a part of my morning that there's like no compromise on, you know?
Yeah. No, I love that. I'm very similar too. Like, but like I said, it's the process. Like you said, weighing out the beans, dude, that hand grinder that I got from you, dude, the satisfaction of just grinding your own beans in a hand grinder, just like turning it, the sounds, the smells, like just that whole experience. It's incredible.
That thing's pretty smooth, huh?
Oh man, I love that.
You get through the beans and it just starts gliding.
Dude, and it just glides. You can adjust the grind and everything. Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Let's talk about this at least. You
Present.
fell in love with snowboarding this year.
Oh, baby boy, did I fall in love with snowboarding.
I don't know what happened, but there was a moment where you reached out and you were like, hey, I got my buddy's snowboard. Let's go to Gatlinburg soon. I want to learn before we go to Colorado. And we did.
Dude. Okay, like going on our trip to Europe, me, you, and Ryan, and like hearing you guys talking about snowboarding and, you know, I had gotten into longboarding for a while. So like, you know, cruising down some hills and stuff like that. And I always kind of imagined it being kind of similar to snowboarding. And I'm like, oh, like I've always been interested in it, but I've never done it before.
Of course.
Talking to you guys about it, I'm like, dude, I have to do it. And then we had gone to Denver at some point and you guys were talking about, yo, like, let's come back. Let's go snowboarding. I'm like, I have to do that.
Yeah.
Like I have to. So like going out to Gatlinburg with you for the first time, like, oh man, that experience, I was hooked, immediately hooked.
That is so cool. And it's cool that that's all it took was a little mountain like that to get you jazzed on it. Cause growing up in the Northeast myself, I that's what I grew up on. Small mountains, 300 vertical feet. And then moving out to Colorado, of course, you're just spoiled with the best riding in the world. But that being said, there's something special about riding those small resorts where everyone's just cruising. Everyone kind of knows each other. Like you walk into the lodge and you're just like, what's up, Tammy? What's up, Tim? Like everyone just like homies, where when you go, you know, out west, it's the biggest resorts. Everything's just grand and beautiful and expensive. And no one knows what's going on, but there's 40,000 people on a mountain at once.
Dude.
So yeah, when you said that after riding all day, you're like, I think this is my new favorite thing. I was like, let's go. And then a few weeks later, we boogied out to Colorado, snowboarded. Your second time ever was in the Rockies at Copper Mountain.
Man.
So that's another new piece to the puzzle.
Dude, yeah. And it kind of ties in with the whole traveling thing too. And I think the progression of my experiences so far have been perfect because obviously we went out to Ober up in Gatlinburg. Just absolute chaos with a bunch of people who also they weren't very experienced. So it was a perfect place for me to learn and kind of get my first experience. And then going out to Copper out in Colorado, dude.
That was a good day at Copper too.
That was so much fun. And hanging out with you guys, obviously, like, oh man, I'll never forget getting on the lift.
Oh no.
And like, obviously my first experience on the lift with you and Ryan, and you guys are losing it. You guys are getting so hyped up, and I'm sitting like hooting and hollering, screaming, and I am like sitting between you guys, absolutely bursting with excitement. I'm like, what am I doing right now? This is crazy.
And you're on a lift for more than like 2 minutes or for more than 150 vertical feet.
Yeah.
Because when we went to Gatlinburg, only one main lift was open.
Yep.
And that only went halfway up the mountain.
Oh yeah.
And I think even when it's fully open, the highest lift only goes up 300 or 400 vertical feet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to experience a full blown whole ass mountain.
Yeah, right. Dude, being able to fly out there with you and get that experience was really kind of like the nail in the coffin for me as far as like my interest in snowboarding. And then, a couple of weeks ago, I ended up going up to New Hampshire and visiting my dad and my grandma. And just down the road from my dad's house in New Hampshire, there are a couple different ski spots. So
That is unreal.
just being able to tie that in with traveling and, I can go visit some family. It's like, hey, what's up? I'm going to go over here and go snowboarding for a little bit.
Yep.
Or, hey, we're going to go out to Colorado and get these crazy experiences. I know you're really trying to get me into going out to Jackson Hole at some point.
Man, that's my goal. My goal is to get you comfortable enough on a snowboard to take you to Jackson Hole. It's a whole nother beast, but I think we can get there.
Dude, I think so too. I think we're almost there.
Or we just get to the top and I push you again. That's pretty much what I did at Gatlinburg. Dude, I felt so bad. I'm such a bad teacher when it comes to snowboarding.
Well, okay, it's like the same thing that I've been doing with you in hockey. It's like, all right, cool, we're gonna go play hockey and step on the ice. I'm like, oh wait, I don't even know if he knows how to skate. And like I remember stepping out in front of you that first time we went a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh, do I need to help him out on the ice? And like as soon as I get a couple strides in, I turn around and look, and you're cruising. And I was like, okay, we're good. Which I'm sure was a similar experience that you had, like even getting off the lift on the first time when we went
Dude,
snowboarding.
I told you that. I was like, people don't just easily get off the lift their first time snowboarding. Usually it's like a full-blown yard sale.
Yeah.
Just it's a shit show, dude. Like legs tangled, helmets off. Dude, maybe your boot fell off. I don't know. But you glided right down. I look back and you're just gliding right next to me. I was like, okay. Wait, you haven't done this before?
Yeah.
And you were cruising. But yeah, hockey's dude, that's just being good at skating's hard. But then you have a stick in your hand, you got a puck, you got a freaking dribble down.
Yeah.
Whatever you call it.
Dude.
Puck handle.
You were cruising though. You were cruising.
Dude, it's so fun.
You got yourself a really big celebration thrown in there.
We don't talk about that. Should I throw the clip in on this?
Dude, put the clip
Just
in.
me eating it.
Yes.
Then you snowboard. Or okay, you're a snowboarder. Then you surf is what I was going to say.
Yeah. Dude, that's a hobby that I've been trying to pick up for a while now because surfing is so hard.
Hardest sport in the world, I think.
So hard, but also obviously like the accessibility is not really there. Obviously living here in Nashville, but being able to fly places, you got to rent a board. And, this past summer I ended up buying a wetsuit just almost as motivation. Like, okay, I have a wetsuit now. I can go do whatever. But, a buddy of mine used to live in Orange County and, he wanted to get into surfing and I was like, dude, I've always wanted to. So I would fly out there all the time and we would attempt to surf. Yeah. And, so it became such a huge thing every summer. Like, man, I can't wait to go surfing. And, obviously coming into summer now, it's like, dude, I'm so excited now that I have a wetsuit, hop on a plane, go out somewhere and go surfing. Actually, dude, okay. So like a legit, I guess, kind of dream of mine is to go surfing, go snowboarding, play hockey all in one day.
I think there's only one place you can do that. That's literally Southern California.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Florida, man. They ain't got no mountains.
Ain't no Florida. Actually, so I was talking to my dad about that. And I guess up in Maine, where our beach house is, he was saying there's pretty good surfing during the winter.
Actually, one of my buddies from Colorado, he went to school at CU, that's what he said. He would snowboard up in Maine, and I think he said the only time they surfed up there was, I think, in the winter.
Yeah.
Maybe like late winter, but I don't.
Dude, but like, that's so cold.
Oh man, I don't think I could deal with it.
I'm a wuss when it comes to cold. I'm going to be honest. I've been playing hockey basically my whole life. I am done with the cold. I'm over it.
You get on the ice for 5 minutes, you're sweating bullets.
Oh yeah.
You
Dude,
sweat
especially
so much.
in goalie gear, like having all that stuff, I get so sweaty. There was a point, I guess this is a whole other part of the Bonesy story.
Okay.
I would go out to California with my real dad, and we would work on this wind farm that he worked on. And going out to like basically the high desert to work on this wind farm, I brought my gear out and going out to Bakersfield, California to play hockey out there. Dude, it was so hot. Like,
This is midsummer. Oh my gosh.
So hot. Even in the rink, I was burning up. So I stopped wearing my base layers under all my gear because I would get so freaking hot playing out there. It was so hot.
Wait, are you just like sticking to your gear? at this point?
dude, no, it's like just soaking wet. Absolutely soak. It's
slimy.
It's disgusting, dude. And my pet peeve with goalie gear is gear that's wet and gear that's way too dry. If you play hockey or anything like that, even like player gloves too, like sometimes they just get way too dried out. They're like not like crusty is the word to describe it.
Is it like dry rot?
It can and will, but it just gets like it's not a good feeling, especially like my chest protector when it's super, super dried out and it's just like the way it rubs against my skin.
It just doesn't work. Just doesn't work.
No, man.
I forgot you went out to Bakersfield, man. That's a whole story in and of itself.
Dude, honestly, yeah, that's a whole other chapter of just like riding around in the high desert up in the mountains up there and up Tehachapi out in Joshua Tree.
I forgot we had this talk too before.
Yeah.
The old
dude,
Tehachapi.
Joshua trees in general. I almost got completely stabbed. Like I stepped on one that was just barely poking out of the ground, and it like the spike went through my boot and almost into my foot.
Dude, Joshua trees are beautiful though.
They're very unique.
Even if they try to kill you.
Yeah, dude.
What about those little guys? Cactuses in the high desert?
They're cute.
They're cute, but they'll kill you.
They will kill you.
Or at least just put a spike in you.
Yeah.
Bonesy?
What's up?
Do you play music?
I dabble.
You dabble?
I dabble.
What do you play guitar?
Yeah, I play guitar. Man, I don't know. I've acquired so many instruments over the years. Mm-hmm. And honestly, so like a lot of my friends from high school and even going through college, they all played in bands together and stuff like that. So I was always kind of like, I would always go to their practices. I would go to their shows, and I was always exposed to this like band atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And, I ended up getting a guitar of my own for Christmas, and I started picking up playing guitar, dude. And then Guitar Hero came out.
Oh man, game over.
Game over. I was hooked.
As one gets with Guitar Hero in 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it, dude. Yeah, I was so hooked. Actually, at first I was like, this is such a nerdy game. I hate it. But everyone was so into it. Like everyone would play. And of course, my friends in bands, like they would kill it. And it got to the point where like when nobody was watching, I would like sneak in the living room and I would like start playing. And I started at like easy, medium. And then all of a sudden I was playing expert. And then everyone's like, come on, Dustin, you should play the game. I'm like, no, maybe I won't. Okay, I guess I will. And then I go out there and started shredding. And everyone's like, whoa, what? And I'm like,
dude, you know that the sound of the white, like, what do you even call that thing?
Like the pick button thing.
The pick button thing?
Yeah, the
that
strum
sound.
thing.
The whole time we've been talking about it, all I can hear is like, you know what I mean? It's burnt into my head. Yeah. Oh my God. And when you'd get going and your friends would get going and you were trying to sleep or something and you heard it from across the entire house. Cause dude, it was so loud. It was like, and then they'd start ripping and it was,
yeah.
It was louder than like if you had your TV all the way up, that's all you could still hear.
You can still hear it.
Dude, It was louder than Van Halen on the TV, dude.
Dude, yeah. Dude, okay, so like, I would just like acquire instruments. Like I ended up with a ukulele. I have an accordion.
You have a triangle?
I don't have a triangle.
We'll get you one.
Sick. What else do I have? A mandolin. And it's not even like I'm a huge music person. It's just like I said, I've acquired these things and like kind of learned to play them here and there. And I go through these phases where like, I'm like, oh, I want to write my own song. Mm-hmm. And I'll start getting hyped about like writing my own song. And then I get halfway through and I get frustrated with it. And then it's like, oh wait, I don't have to do this. Like, so I get frustrated, I put it down and I end up coming back to it. And it's always kind of come in these like spurts and waves of, coming back to playing music and then putting it down and focusing on other things and so forth.
I'll tell you what, sounds like you're pretty focused on the YouTube thing right now.
Yeah.
By our other talks and by this one, but, it sounds like that's kind of where a lot of the focus is.
It is.
I'm excited to see where that goes.
I don't know. I've always kind of needed some sort of creative outlet, and YouTube has kind of been a big one for me, and music has always been that outlet for me as well. And I'm like almost scared to get into a music phase again right now because it's been so long. I feel like it's almost like this slingshot effect where like once I get back into it, it's just gonna like come back so heavy and it's gonna take up so much of my time and energy.
It's gonna take a little bit away from everything else.
Which is gonna take a little bit away from everything else. And I'm a little too excited about snowboarding right now.
Man, should we try to make it out to the mountains before the end of the season?
Yes.
One more trip out west.
Wait, really?
I'm so really?
Yes, dude. Absolutely.
I'm down. Especially yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yo, you
but,
want to go out there and do maybe a podcast?
dude? You guys think? Just kidding. No one's listening to this. I'm just kidding.
Damn, that was a little too real.
I'm kidding.
Leave it in. Leave it in.
I'll leave it. Let's wrap this thing up. I know you have a million stories, and I mean, you're co-hosting this thing. Me and Bonesy, I don't know if you've watched the first episode. Bones and I are together on this thing. The KIFCAST is another project that Bones has taken on, another project that I'm taking on, and so that's another time sucker.
Oh yeah,
for you.
That's another thing to add to the list. Podcast.
So sorry about that.
Hey, dude, it's all right. I'm here for it.
But yeah, but you have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of rad stuff going on, and I guess anything else you want to chat about before we wrap this puppy up?
No, dude. I mean, we obviously have a lot of talking to do. We have a lot of podcasting to do, and plenty more stories to tell along the way.
We've only known each other for 2 years, and we have spent a lot of time traveling together in that 2 years. So
yes, let's do more of that.
We'll do more of that. My last question to you, Bonesy.
Whoa.
In a week, in a month, in a day, how do you keep it fun?
Bro, how do I kiff?
How do you kiff?
You know what? Fun is a lifestyle. Fun is a way of life.
Okay.
I keep it fun just for fun's sake.
Okay, kill him.
What's up?
That's it?
Yeah, dude, I keep it fun. I keep it real.
Okay, fine. I'm saying like a 1 week long. What would you do in a week? What does a week look like
Dude,
to you?
in a week?
If you could wrap that up into
even like just this week, today, doing podcast, little KIFCAST situation. So much fun. Dude, are we going to go to that record store?
We're going to the record store once. I promise.
Actually excited. Okay, tomorrow I have an alumni skate, so we're going to jump on the ice tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Have a lot of fun playing some hockey balls. And then Wednesday, kind of a day off for me, but that's going to end up being some YouTube stuff, maybe even cutting some stuff up, doing some Reels or TikToks type stuff.
Perfect.
My dad's flying in Wednesday night because we're going to go to the Preds game Thursday night, but also Thursday morning I have another skate, so I'm jumping on the ice again. And doing all of that, mixing in some adulting things that I have to do, listening to records, making some coffee, taking care of my plants, maybe even raking up my Zen garden.
A whole nother hobby.
A whole other hobby, which obviously Zen garden, kind of weird, but it's okay. I'm a goalie. I have a license to be weird.
I have a license. It's right here.
Don't worry. I'm weird. But yeah, doing all that before jumping back into work for the weekend and just kind of hanging out with a bunch of airplanes.
Yeah, and then we'll do it all again the next week.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Thanks for taking the time to chat and tell your story. I hope we touched on everything you wanted to touch on. Like I said, I'm sure in the coming episodes we'll be breaking a lot more down. But,
oh yeah, dude, so many stories to tell. Like I'm actually really excited about being able to sit down and get this thing rolling. Like this is going to be so much fun.
This is sick. If you guys have made it through this far, all the way to the end, I don't know how far we in. I don't know how far we are. We're about an hour and a half, it looks like. But yeah, if you made it through, thanks for listening. And we can't wait to tell more stories.
Yeah.
This is the KIFCAST. I'm Jason. This is Dustin. And see you guys next time.
Peace. Oh, wait, we got to do our full-on freak out thing at the end.